bring them, for us, hope and God's blessings. And I think also that we've always been about the charism. In a different way, we look at it today, but we're always about looking at our charism and what is it saying to us today? What is it calling us to? And so those are my thoughts, and now I invite you to share any thoughts that you have. We'd be most happy to hear them.
As Catherine was talking, I was thinking, in light of the hokey pokey, as we do the hokey pokey, we're asked to put more and more of ourselves into it. And I was just thinking, almost with thoughts of exhaustion, that as we age, we're still being asked to put more of ourselves into it, just to wherever we have to get the energy to be able to keep doing what we're doing, and not just putting our one hand in and the other hand in, but to continue to put our whole self in, regardless of the energy that we have.
Fire of bringing fire out of the ashes, you know. And the thing I was thinking of was the wisdom that we've all gleaned over our years. And Lois, when you said as we're aging, that's what made me think of it. The wisdom that we've gleaned over the years, the 20 plus years for some of us. And how can we take that wisdom into the world and give the world a legacy of hope.
The lady there hasn't been able to hear a thing. She said it.
I think that what struck me too, after we started this,
Yeah, but I'm talking about hearing.
another song came in
I
my
know
mind
people
was
can't hear.
I Have This Dance for the rest of your life. And I thought, and it connected with, which I do not watch, my sister does, Dancing with the Stars. And I know they go through so many different kinds of dances they have to go through before they're, they win. And I thought to myself, that's what we were asked in a way, the first time, like when we entered and professed our vows. It was almost like God's inviting us to have the dance with Him for the rest of our lives. The music may change, the songs may change, the style of the dance has changed. And I connected that, really when I think also, I want to think of all the different things I've done in ministry. And with everything, there was such excitement and blessing. There were joys, there were problems, One, of course, when we were a principal, we run into a lot of stuff. But I thought to myself, it's like it was ever changing, just like the steps in a dance change. But the music is still playing. And the music is still inviting us to come in and remind us, to keep that dance going. And for me, that was just something that connected with me when we started that idea of the booking. So I thank you for that. I enjoyed that very much. Just as we could have done the rest of
Speaking of the hokey pokey, I find myself now at the two-step stage of dancing, which I always loved to dance, but it's not with the same vigor that I used to. But picking up on Lois's energy, I find that the energy for me has to come from the heart, and that is a challenge. on the day-to-day basis for me as we look ahead. So rather than drift through the rest of my life, I try to rev up my dancing steps a bit, pull on the energy of my heart.
I think I heard Catherine use the phrase being investigated for faithfulness. From Australia, when we heard about what was happening here, it just sounded insane. And we have tried to follow what was happening here with great interest. But as just in the few days I've been here and seen you all, such women of deep faithfulness, it still seems insane that this investigation goes on. And I was reading today there are almost 1 million women religious globally. There are less than 500,000 ordained priests and brothers, and yet somehow or other we faithful women are being investigated. So I just want to acknowledge your faithfulness, the wonderful ministries that you've given your lives to, and that your sisters all over the world, including Brazil, and the Netherlands and Australia who are here today. Lots of faithful women join with you, and I just give thanks and feel like doing the hokey pokey when I see the great, loving, caring, beautiful works that women religious and sisters globally. Amongst the laity, just what we have done. And I'm sure the energy will keep coming.
The 5
I was
minutes were
thinking that
half
as
hour.
we do the hokey pokey and as we put ourselves in, some parts of our body are easier to put in than others. And so sometimes that's the challenge, but also how much we need each other in order to accomplish that. That thinking too of not just our own ability to do something, but also sometimes like that inner, some people are freer, some people are less free, but as we form community and as we work together and support each other, even as we're living religious life in different forms than we were living it when we entered, that it gives us that support and that ability to continue to put ourselves in, even if it's not with the same zest or ability that we once had, but as I do it and as somebody else helps me and I help them, it gives a witness to our support of each other and our need for one another.
When I entered, OP, as I understood it, meant Order of Penance. And I think what happened after Vatican II, that we finally were recognized is the women as Order of Preachers. And to me, that was very profound because I think it recognized the role that women have in society and in our world. That we don't have to be up at preaching from a padilla or from whatever, but we preach with whatever we do with our lives. And I think a lot of that I think we've been reaffirmed in that with this whole investigation and all the people that have come out to say how important the sisters have been in their lives, because we really did preach, we are preaching, we still continue to preach the gospel with our lives.
Catherine, I just want to say, you never came into my classroom and did the hokey pokey. You brought me back, and in my contemplation, as I looked at God looking at us, I guess I remembered those days at Bishop Dunn, where you were principal, and where I taught special kids. And I remember a day that I was rambling on in front of them, and Courtney, as you might remember her, Courtney was looking at me very curiously, finally I said, Courtney, do you have a question? And she said, yeah. She said, are you really a nun? And before I could answer her, I said, well, yes, I am. Why? And she said, because your hair is curly and your clothes are fresh. Those were the words then, you know. And I kind of got as dramatic as she, and I said, Courtney, honestly, I am really a nun, and I had just previously made final vows, you know, a year or two sooner earlier than Courtney's class. And I said, Courtney, I signed on the dotted line for life. And with that, Danny said, could we see that dotted line? And I don't know if you remember, Jeanette, but my lunch break at Bishop Dunn that day, I went up to your office. I said, Jeanette, I need the book where I signed. She said, honey, it's not supposed to go out of this office. I said, I need it. You gave it to me. It's okay, because it was a former superior. And I came back down to the Bishop Dunn with this book in my hand, and I showed the kids where I signed my vows. And Sister Frederica was assisting in my classroom. She has now gone home to God. And holding me up probably most of the time in my classroom in her quiet way. And I found Frederica's name in this book as well. And I was able to show them where Frederica had signed on the dotted line. And this story just came back to me because I thought to myself, you know, where's Danny and Courtney today, married and a bunch of kids? But they are the people that probably, when the Vatican was investigating us, said, I know who they really were. And they're the people that came into churches and walked in front of the cathedral and stood in support of women religious today. And that day, they helped me to really understand the vows I took. You know, the authenticity of that came really through to me. And so I am really grateful, and I am going to challenge you to, you know, do the hokey pokey, the whole thing when we get downstairs. When we get downstairs.
Voglio parlare un po' in italiano, le suore fa la traduzione per me. E ringrazio a Dio questa opportunità di stare qui insieme con voi.
She thanks God for her presence here and among us.
Un giorno molto importante.
This is a very important time, important day.
8 di marzo, no?
The 8th of March.
Un giorno che ricorda una tragedia.
A day, speaking in Italian now, a day where remembers a tragedy.
Ma un giorno di speranza.
But a day of hope.
Perché a partire da quel giorno, tutto 8 di marzo, si ricorda la presenza delle donne nel mondo.
That today is a very special day, and we remember the presence of all the women in the world.
Capace di donare la vita per una gran causa.
That the women are ready to donate their lives for a great cause.
Defender la vida, defender los derechos humanos, defender los derechos de las mujeres trabajadoras.
That the women will be able to direct their lives and give their lives for the world, for the well-being, to direct globally.
Pero también un giorno de riconoscimento por la bellezza del seno delle donne.
And it's also a day where we remember the beauty of women.
La tenerezza,
the tenderness of women,
la gioia,
the joy of women,
la delicatezza de trato.
Yeah, the delicacy, how we treat one another.
E questo oggi, celebrare il Dia della Vita Consacrata.
And today, as we celebrate consecrated life,
es fazer una ligación molto stretta a questo gran giorno.
That it really is a unity, a legacy
that we're celebrating women, international women, and also consecrated life. So it's really a gift.
Thank you.
Grazie.
Thank you.